Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All righty. Welcome back. It's the Jeremy Mills Podcast. We are live from the crossover. Before we get into it, quickly have to say thank you to Loverovich Orthodontics. They believed in me, so I believe in them. They helped me fix my smile. Probably can help you fix yours. Visit them down on Sandpoint Way, loveortho.com, or call them at 206-525-7000. My guest today, returning,
Returning for sure.
Jamal Crawford.
Yes.
How you doing, man?
Excited. Happy to be here. Of course.
We were just talking. It feels like a long time since we've sat down.
Yeah.
It's only been a year, but
That's it?
mm-hmm.
Oh, man, I always bet
Maybe less.
2 years. Yeah, it seemed like 2 summers ago.
Just a lot has happened.
A lot has happened.
Yeah.
For sure. Let's get into it.
You gave me my in, and I ran with it, but
No, you've taken full advantage. And I think for any person in any field, sometimes you need just a chance, just an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Like people with coaches, they say, well, he doesn't have any coaching experience. Well, how's he going to ever get coaching experience if nobody gives him a chance to be a coach? So,
right.
no, you've done unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. There's these gatekeepers. I was talking to Jacob Wiley about it, and they just help you along the way, whatever journey you're on, whether it's being a basketball player, be a media person. It's just amazing. But we're here. You just got back from Las Vegas watching.
Literally like hour and a half
I
ago.
saw you tweeting from the plane. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I was.
back in my mind, I'm like, he's showing up today.
For
if I know
sure.
Jamal, he's probably showing
I
up
was
today.
definitely. Baggage claim, got in the car. I was here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love of the game. How was JJ?
He was good. It was a great experience for him. Obviously, he's played in other tournaments with San Diego, Houston. First time in Vegas. And they had a legit shot of winning it. I'm not just saying that, but they actually did. And we lost the game that we were up 15 with 10 minutes to go. It was 25 to 12. No, 27 to 12. I'm sorry.
Okay.
27 to 12. We were up 15. The last 10 minutes, we didn't score 1 point. They went on a 21-0 run, won the game, and we were knocked out. So that one hurt. I haven't felt like that with a loss since the Houston series when I was with the Clippers, to be honest with you.
Wow.
Like, to be up that much and lose. So.
When you're watching your son, how much are you thinking about what that's teaching him in a loss like that?
Yeah, it's well, every time he's out on the court, it's a learned experience, right? It's not just the losses, not just the wins. It's just not the good or the bad. You're just learning. It's the first for him in so many different ways. So it's always cool to see how he processes it and then how he applies it moving forward. So it's a cool journey, though. Yeah.
His mannerisms get me.
They get me too.
Yeah, that video I tweeted.
My wife says it all the time, and not even just on the court. Like the way he stands, the way he looks, the way he, tries to drive home a point or whatever it might be. It's exactly the same. And my wife says that. She reminds me of that. A constant reminder, really.
Wow. And how do you factor in? It's something I've thought about. How do you raise him to have the same character that you do? Not that being rich takes that away, or coming from a privileged situation takes that away, but how do you balance that? Something I've been genuinely interested in.
Right. Well, honestly, it's almost all he knows, right? So he grew up just like this, but I have to remind him that sometimes some of these things aren't normal. It's not normal to meet NBA players. It's not normal to, be able to go to different arenas and travel that much, and those things. So, but I let him see the other side. I handed out some stuff for the homeless with Jimmy Butler in Minnesota. I made sure he came with me. So I want him to see everything and be well-rounded. And he has a good heart. All my kids have really good hearts, and I would like to think we're raising them right, and he's turned out okay so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
Now, there was a certain night to end the season. You maybe had, what was it, 51?
51.
18 for 30 field goals, second highest scoring month of your career. You're the oldest player.
First highest.
Was it the first highest?
It was the first. I averaged, and everybody talks about that game, and I get it because that was like a crazy game. But I averaged 31 points for the month of April.
Wow.
My second highest was 26 points in a month, and I was with the Warriors, and I was starting at the time. It's 2009. Yeah, I started doing some backtracking on that, but it was the first highest, and it's unbelievable how it played out. Yeah.
And what was different that last month? Because the
opportunity.
It really.
The thing about it is, in the NBA and in sports in general, sometimes perception becomes reality, right? So obviously I've been in the league a long time, but I'm not playing on a team. But when you have a young team and we're not really trying to win, we're trying to develop more, what's the point of playing me? We're trying to develop, right? So the opportunity arose where, guys got injured, the young guys we were playing, and the opportunity was there. And I just took full advantage. And it was, to be honest with you, my wife told me early in the season, she's like, you have another 50-point game in you.
Wow.
And I'm like, I'm not even playing. Some nights I won't play the first half, play 5 minutes and come out and not play the rest of the game. Like, what are you talking about? And she's like, you have a 50-point game in you. And that night, to be very honest with you, I haven't even said this or talked about it. That night, 25 was like the number. Because at that time, I had scored 25 two straight games, and that would have been the third game. And the only players in history this late in their career to score that many points, 25 points consecutively, was Kobe and Kareem.
Wow.
So I'm like, if I just get 25, I'll be in the company of those guys, right?
You had that like in the second quarter.
I had that at the end of the third, actually.
End of the third, okay.
So then the fourth starts, and I scored 12 immediately. Like, I'm at 37-38 with like 9 minutes to go. And that's the first time I'm like, oh, this is a 50-point night. When I had 37 or 38. I think I just hit the and 1 3, and that gave me 37. It was like 9, 10, 8, 9, 10, somewhere in that range. Was enough time like, okay, I can get 50 a night. Wow. And that was unbelievable. The oldest player to ever do it before me was Michael Jordan, the best player ever. And then it's never been done off the bench to score that many. I didn't even think it was possible. Even when I was winning all those 6 mans, I didn't think it was possible to score 50 points off the bench. I just didn't think it was enough time, no matter how hot you got. So.
You always hear people say, like, the basket must have felt like an ocean.
Oh, it felt like I was playing out there.
Wow.
To be honest with you, usually I'm very cognizant of my surroundings. I'm very cognizant of, okay, maybe I'm shooting a little bit too much. I missed a few. I'll kind of ease up. That night, I got so completely lost in the game that I wasn't thinking, I just shoot it. It just feels it's going in, just shoot it. And that's what it felt like. But something like that doesn't happen without your teammates and your coaches. They wanted me to do it as well, and they deserve all the credit for sure.
Right. You talk about the perception outside of the team.
Yeah.
People, naysayers, Jamal's averaging this, Jamal's averaging that.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, when I went to watch you play, I see you not only trying to teach the right basketball play over and over again, whether the result is a basket or not, trying to teach him that right basketball play. When something happens, there's a foul, you're going over to every single player, you're talking to him, you're just being that leader. So,
which was kind of new for me, to be honest with you. Like, Minnesota kind of started somewhat, but this year was like full-on leader, full-on you have to take the bull by the horns. Think about it. I've been on teams with the Clippers. It was Blake and Chris and DJ doing all the talking. I was a guy who could kind of sit back and do my job and say stuff behind the scenes, but I didn't have to be as vocal. I talked more this year than I ever have in my whole life as far as basketball goes, as far as leading goes. So,
was it rewarding?
It was, because you see certain players, you see the light bulb go off in certain situations and certain players, and everybody doesn't get it at the same time. Everybody doesn't grasp it the same, but to see certain guys make a leap, and I know that this was the foundation for a lot of their careers, so they can always kind of draw back and look back 5 years from now, 3 years from now, 10 years from now on these teachings, so to speak, that they'll kind of carry them throughout.
Right. Who were some of those players, and were there any moments that you can share where you...
T.J. Warren, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, Dragan Bender, Ellie. Yeah, pretty much everybody, to be honest. Kelly Oubre, everybody, and it wasn't always in a group setting. I may pull them to the side and say, hey, I saw he was struggling in the game. Let's go shoot after the game. 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, let's go shoot. Let's go work out. So you kind of blow that steam off. Just so many different things that, I would think a leader is supposed to do.
Can you rank your top 3 skills as a basketball player?
Skills?
Yeah, whether it be, I would count leadership. You can say ball handling. You can say, passing, scoring, whatever you want. Because I think we saw a different side of you this year.
First and foremost would probably be my love for the game. My love is like, it's undying. And I'm not just like saying this because it's me. I've met very few people in my life who love basketball like I do. So I feel like I owe the game everything. Next is probably my imagination. I think I'm, pretty creative with certain things. So I think my imagination is pretty good. And then probably, I think I'm a great teammate, to be honest. Like, I truly have others' best interests at heart, and I want them to succeed. And sometimes you have to kind of help put people, you kind of have to help people put you in that box of, oh, he's older because he's not shooting, he's not scoring the same. I think it should be applauded. Like, no, he's not scoring the same. He's not trying to go out and score because he wants somebody else to take a step further in their career. To me, that's like, isn't that what life's supposed to be? You're supposed to help the person next to you. Isn't that more rewarding than helping yourself or fattening on, my career, whatever numbers, just because. Like I would think so. I think those three things.
Right. And those are all, things. How do you train those? It's almost like if you have them.
You live them.
Yeah.
I live basketball. Every car I own, there's a basketball in the trunk. My TVs are stuck on NBA TV. I'm always talking about it.
YouTube.
I'm YouTubing.
I see.
Like all those different things with the basketball part. The leadership part, I think that comes to, being a good role model, being, a good father, a good husband, a good person in the community. And then the last part, the teammate part, is probably just character, just who you are as a person. I think your character kind of shines through, and that kind of goes with wanting somebody else to be the best of themselves.
Knowing you, if you grow your hair out,
Yeah.
there may be something bugging you.
For sure.
So what was that?
For me, was that on script or is that like fresh off?
Off the dome.
That's a good one.
Thank you.
For me, it's about a couple of different things. Everybody knows when I feel most like myself on the basketball court, my hair is shorter. This year, I felt the least most like myself because I had to kind of get away from myself individually and embrace whatever was coming at me as far as trying to lead a group, right? When I signed with Phoenix, it was 4 veterans. It was myself, Ryan Anderson, Trevor Reeves, and Tyson Chandler. People forget that by mid-season it was just me. So now I have even more of a leadership role than I thought I would have initially going into it. So I'm not playing as much. I'm in Phoenix by myself. My family's here. I'm doing well in practice, but the perception of it is he's older, right? They don't see our practices when I can just go play and, I'm not sitting for a half, then playing 2 minutes, then come back out the game. They're not seeing that. So all those different things. And discipline. I wanted to see if I had enough discipline to grow my hair like I did when I was in college, right? So I challenged myself as well. And then I started just living in that place of doing that. So it was all those things combined.
Is it here to stay?
I don't know.
Yeah, because I don't think you've ever had it at the crossover that I've remembered.
No. The longest, before this was one time in Minnesota, but this full was college for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think about success. You're obviously an amazing basketball player. You've had this great NBA career, but still facing losses in Phoenix over and over again.
Yeah.
I'm sure that has to get at you. So how did you combat that?
I handled it different ways. Some days I would go in the gym afterwards. Some days off days after practice, I'd play. I'd get there early or shoot. Just whatever it took. I listen to music. I'd go on long drives. I would do a lot of different things to kind of get through those moments. I talk to my wife, obviously, talk to my friends. Those things for sure. But that's why the end of the season was so rewarding, because you're almost like screaming out, like, I told you I can do this. This is easy. I was born to play basketball, right? I can do this. But you can't go against the system and say, hey, play me, when we're trying to develop somebody else. So it's like you have to find that zen within yourself to know that things will work out. Just keep doing the right things.
And you talk about being that leader for those other guys.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's sacrificing for those other guys, if you would say it, but who did that for you as a young player? And can I throw out a few names?
Absolutely.
Just looking through your entire basketball
Wow.
reference,
Okay.
year to year to year to year.
Wow. I had a lot of teammates.
Elton Brand, Ron Artest, Fred Hoiberg, player, and Bill Cartwright.
I would say Bill Cartwright and Fred Hoiberg. Ron Artest helped me as well. He was only a year older than me, but he was in the NBA first. So that helped me for sure. And then Scottie Pippen, Kendall Gill, Rick Brunson, all those guys, Jalen Rose. Then it was Penny Hardaway, Stephon Marbury, Allen Houston, all those guys. When I went to New York, I felt like I was growing from a young man to a man, right? And then I was one of the younger ones on the team, so I'm watching all these guys wear suits to all the games and how they carried themselves and different things like that. So for me, I've had some great leaders and mentors in my career.
Okay. What can you say about Ron Artest as a teammate? I think
you want to go to war with him every single day of the week. He's going to leave it all on the line. He's not going to back down. He's not perfect, but who is, right? He's just going to leave it on the line, and he's going to his body, his own, well-being, whatever it might be. So he was unbelievable.
Wow. I didn't know you were teammates with Scottie Pippen. I got to be honest. I got to jump off my soapbox.
Yeah, his last year of his career was my last year in Chicago. Wow. So he left for the Bulls, went to Portland, and came back to Chicago. I played 1 year with him, and then I went to the Knicks, and he retired. Wow. I played with a lot of greats there last year. Scottie, Chauncey Billups, Paul Pierce, Grant Hill.
Paul Pierce. and Grant
Yeah,
Hill.
I played with some greats there last year.
Wow.
Yeah,
That Clippers team, I think, is one of the most talked about.
for sure. Absolutely, without a doubt. Like, if you look at it, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out with them now. But I'm not gonna lie, top to bottom, I feel like we had more talent. Yeah.
And if you have to look back, why do you think it didn't work?
I'm not sure we were mentally tough enough, to be honest with you, as a group. Not like one person. I just think as a group, we weren't mentally tough enough. And then when things come kind of easy to you, you're just like, we'll get back there next year. We'll get back. We'll figure it out next year. You know what I mean? So in my 5 years there, on average, we averaged 57. We averaged almost 60 wins in 5 years. I think we had the most wins in a 5-year span in like the last whatever many years. So, yeah, we got our chances.
Do you think you learned that mental toughness, or maybe the team learned that mental toughness through that
to
devastating?
be very, very honest with you, and I've never said this either, I think if you asked each one of us individually, we'd all say we blew it. Collectively, we blew that chance. We kind of have regrets with how that ended, for sure.
Take you into a little bit of a fast break.
Okay.
Last year, Kyrie Irving came to Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of his summer getaway.
Yeah.
He loves this
Came
gym.
back. Yeah.
And then also Bill Russell came last year.
Yes.
Iconic picture of Kyrie, Zach LaVine, Bill Russell, and Jamal Crawford. Can you take me inside that practice a little bit?
Well, first, backstory of that. Bill Russell started following me on Twitter. I'm like, no way, right? And then he's like, call me. I send my. He says, I think he said, send your number, so I can send my number. I'm talking to my wife, like, Bill Russell's on the phone. She's like, no way, right? So then she hears, like, wow. He's like, hey, I want to connect with you. I love everything you're about, what you're doing. I want to come to the Pro-Am. I'm like, okay, today. Like, what? Like, today? Today. I'm like, all right. So I'm driving here. I'm so nervous. I'm like, how do you play in front of Bill Russell, right? Like, when he played, obviously, it was more about passing and things of that nature. So I said, okay, I'm safe there. I'm going to pass today. I don't know how many shots I took that day. I mean, it was less than 10 for sure in a Pro-Am. But I had 30 assists. And I thought, and it's a Pro-Am record, I thought it'd be cool with him when he played. It was about passing. And I said, I'm going to put that on display today. So that was it. So then after that was Saturday or Sunday. I said, hey, Monday, Kyrie's in town. We're working out. It's private. It's off the grid, off the scene. I said, you should stop by. He's like, okay, I'm going to stop by. So he came back Monday, we worked out. Zach was here. We took the picture. And it's funny, out of all of us guys who are playing now, none of us actually tweeted it. He actually broke the news with him tweeting it from his account. So that was pretty cool. And then he came back the rest of the summer, and it was good. We formed a real friendship. He came and saw me in L.A. this year when we played the Lakers. So now I got a mentor for him for life.
Wow. And what is he like when you talk to him? Is it
funny, hilarious?
Is he?
I was so nervous the first time I met him. It was actually when Barack Obama was president, and this was in Bellevue, and we both were all going to meet him. And he was with Fred Brown, and Fred Brown was talking about basketball, or whatever. And Mr. Russell was like just so stern, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm nervous to talk to him. And Fred Brown said, man, stop playing with Jamal. You know him. He started laughing and joking, and then, so yeah, it was cool though.
Wow. Before we get into a little bit of story time, if you don't mind, free agency this year. How are you looking at it differently than you looked at it last year?
Well, now the way it's playing out, it seems like it could be similar to last year.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, everybody's kind of waiting. I'm looking at the names. I'm looking at Jeremy Lin, Vince Carter, Amon Shumpert, Carmelo Anthony, Zach Randolph, Joe Johnson.
Wow.
I'm missing some more people. But I'm looking at the guys. I'm like, okay, if you look, it's more veterans that are kind of waiting, right? Or they're kind of having wait, however you look at it. So I don't think it'll happen anytime soon, but I think it will happen. So it's just a matter of when. I mean, last year wasn't the scariest, but it was more like, wow, it was the closest to the season I'd ever gone without signing. So I signed the day before the season started, literally one day before the season. So I'm not sure it'll get to that point, but either way, last year prepared me for this year.
Mm-hmm. Kind of gives you confidence when you're waiting.
Yeah, for
Not
sure.
like-
No doubt about it.
You obviously hear, when I notice when you tweet and stuff, it's crazy. People just are constantly, yes, come here, come there, come here, come there. Can you set the record straight, and does that impact you at all?
No, it has before. Like
Really?
when in Portland, I saw, like, they really want me, you know? But here's one thing you may not know, that when somebody tweets something like that, and I'm just going to throw this one team out there, but it can go for a lot of teams.
Mm-hmm.
When somebody tweets something like that, like I see a lot of come to the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking the same thing. I would think the Lakers would want me there because it seems like a good fit. I mean, me and the fan or whoever this person is feel the same way. But the Lakers may not feel that way. They may feel like they want to go in a different direction. Mm-hmm. And to me, I agree with the fan. Like, yeah, go Lakers. It makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. But they chose to go in a different direction. And I can't always come out and say, yeah, well, we've talked to them and they said no. You know,
right,
I'm not
right.
trying to make everything
that
public.
yeah.
Right. So they'll hear it here. But that was just the one team.
Gotcha.
For sure.
I have to talk about Jalen Rose.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love his podcast.
Yeah.
Jalen and Jacoby.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out Jalen and Jacoby.
For sure.
Did you always know that he would be this good of like a media mogul?
I didn't know it would get to this point, but I knew he would do well on television because he's very articulate. He knows how to convey a message. He knows how to speak to everybody. And I thought he had a charismatic way about himself. So I knew he would do well. I didn't know he would do this well.
Yeah, he's taking over.
He's taking over. That's my big bro, so I'm happy for him.
Randy Redwine, unfortunately passed away since last season. Can you remember anything, as we've gone into story time, anything that Coach Redwine yelled at you while you were playing in a game sticks out?
I'm not sure about what he yelled at me, but what I do remember, him yelling at refs all the time. But one thing that he said that always stuck with me was, because out of all the people I would believe in Washington or Seattle, I think he's probably seen more players come through the Pro-Am than anybody else. And so when he said, you know, that I was kind of like, I don't even feel comfortable saying this, but when he said I was probably the best player he had ever seen come through, like that meant everything, because he's literally seen everybody. You know, it wasn't like somebody who just started watching 5 years ago or 10 years ago or whatever. Like, he's literally seen every single player. And for him to say that to me, I was like, wow, I was beyond honored. So that's probably meant the most to me, I guess, which is really, really cool. But I learned a lot from him. He's like the soul of Seattle basketball for sure. And we'll make sure his name lives on forever.
Absolutely. When everything's said and done, when you hang up the cleats and you're looking back and you're writing your book,
yeah,
The Sixth Man, Jamal Crawford.
Yeah, right.
What is going to be the most interesting chapter?
That's a great question. The most interesting chapter will probably be how I was able to navigate through this whole maze, right? From coming from Seattle, Washington, where we weren't looked at as a basketball place at the time, to skinny kid who liked to do the and-one moves, to, kind of being received all over the world, like from China to Vegas to LA to wherever, like with a distinct style of play, and how to make it through these circumstances of having 19 different coaches so far and playing 19 years and never losing myself without that. There's been so many battles and different journeys and mountains to climb within that. So I never lost myself, and that's what I'm actually most proud about, is I never gave in to anything. You look at it, look at college, right? And you have freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Let's say you have one coach your freshman year. He's like, go out and score. Do what you want. He gets fired. Your sophomore year, the guy's like, hey, we want you to be a passer now. We don't want you to score as much. You know, your junior year guy, another coach comes. He's like, hey, we want you to come off the bench, right? Then your senior year, another coach comes. He's like, you know what? This your last year. You're kind of moving on. We're going to develop this young team. We need you to be a team leader and kind of sacrifice everything for that. That's just a 4-year span. So far, it's been 19 years for me. I've had 19 different coaches. So that's what I'm most proud about in my career, for sure, bar none.
How many times have you played against Michael Jordan? I've been waiting to ask this one for a while.
How many times we played together? We played together 2 straight summers. That's still so surreal to me, to be honest with you. And I'm saying that with like all the sincerity in the world, because Michael Jordan is like for basketball, for me, he's the end-all, be-all. Like, he's the best player I've ever seen. I believe he's the best player I'll ever see. I believe he'll be the best player a million years from now. I really believe that. I believe he is the best ever.
And what do you think about him? Like, what, if you had to sum it up? Because I try to explain it to my wife.
Right.
I didn't never see him play.
Right. Well, put it like this. Invest point this out to me. Michael Jordan is so good that when somebody else is the top of the top, the great in their sport, they'll say David Beckham is the Michael Jordan of soccer, right? Like, he's the king of kings. He's the best. And I say that to say this, the fact that he took an interest in me, the fact that I would, in layman's terms, imagine if we were playing pickup here, right? And then you showed up. Or you didn't show up at first, and then you came 45 minutes later, and I didn't play until you got here so I could play with you. That's what Michael Jordan was doing for me. He picked me to play the young him in his commercial. He had me come over his house. He, like, did all these wonderful things for me, and this is, like, beyond a hero for me, right? He introduced me to Jay-Z. I got so tight with Michael Jordan that he introduced me to Jay-Z.
How long did it take for you to go from this, just a fan,
right,
to being comfortable being his
every
friend?
every day. Think about the pressure of making those shots, right? I felt that was the first time in my life where I felt my game going to a different level before I tore my ACL, because I was playing with him. Michael Jordan's making those passes. Now you got to knock down those shots, right? This isn't somebody over there on the street we're playing pickup, or this is Michael Jordan passing you, coming to you to make shots. And I started rising to that level, and he took a special interest. We didn't lose for 2 straight summers. Not one game. Think about that. 2 summers. That's 3 months. That's 6 months. We didn't lose one time. Wow. Every single day playing. Right? So it's like, it's unbelievable. I called him the night before I had my surgery on my knee. He told me the doctor to go to in Alabama, because he was in Alabama. I've never told this story either. He was in Alabama playing baseball. So he was using this doctor down there, and he told me to go to the doctor. So I went to that doctor. I called him the night before the surgery because I was nervous. Oh, he's like, don't worry about it. Relax. It'll be fun. Like, this is Michael Jordan. I could tell you everything about Michael Jordan. Everybody knows me when I was a kid. 8 years old, I'll tell them where he was born, his birthday, his shoe size, his sister's names, his dad. Since I was a kid, this is Michael Jordan. So for him to take that kind of interest in me, it's still a surreal feeling. I still get nervous every time I see him. My son, JJ, actually met him last summer or 2 summers ago. We went to his camp. This is the last camp. And he's reffing JJ's game. He's looking at me, and he's tapping his chin like, man, we may have something here, right? And he's reffing the game. JJ has his best scoring game at the camp with Jordan reffing. We have it on tape. After the game, he comes up and taps JJ on the shoulder. So he's like, little man, you played good today. But JJ has a Jordan shirt on. I'm like, this is just surreal. Like, this is a dream, right? Like, that's Michael Jordan. I can go on and on about him, for sure.
He was a great when I was really young. So that is like first memories of basketball for me, is watching him play. And Kawhi, I think it must have been, I don't remember what game it was, the game before they won the championship.
Right.
He went on that 4-minute run.
That tear.
It was just. Did that remind you of Michael Jordan in that, or? I
got to be honest with you. I've only seen one player that it looked like Michael Jordan. I mean, that was Kobe. Like, Kawhi had a tear, and it was unbelievable. But how fluid Michael Jordan was. Like, I still watch his highlights to this day and will laugh. Like, I'll laugh like, this guy's so good, it's funny. Then I'll show him to JJ. I showed JJ some highlights of Jordan maybe 3 weeks, a month ago, and he started laughing. Totally different. So, like, it's so good, it's funny. Like, it's art. He's like an artist, right? He's truly an artist. He's Michael Jackson. He's Prince. He's an art. He's art. He's Picasso's painting. He's all that. Like, so I can go. He's just out of this world. He's not even of this world. That's how I feel about Michael. He's out of this world.
Man, it's just crazy to be sitting here talking to you about Michael Jordan. Like, the same way you feel, I feel the same way. We'll get some teammate questions and then get you out of here.
All right.
So it's not the be-all, end-all, but kind of just tell me who comes to mind when I mention these questions.
Okay.
Funniest teammate of all time?
Nate Robinson. By far.
Not even a second.
It's not even a second guess. I played high school with him, played the NBA for a few years with him in New York, and never changed, always funny. Either you love him or hate him. There's no in between, and I loved him. So, Nate Robinson.
Who's the most serious teammate you've ever had?
That's a good one. I've never been asked that before. Kendall Gill was very serious. He didn't laugh too much. He didn't joke too much. He was probably one of the most serious teammates I've ever had, for sure.
Who was the most different? Whatever you want to take that to be, on the court, off the court, personality, way they play.
Who was different? I don't know about the way they played, but the way they kind of saw things and saw the world. Maybe Jared Jeffries. He was different. The way he saw things and had thoughts in his head, but he was a good guy, great teammate too.
Who was the most challenging? And I don't want you to speak ill of anyone, not
Right.
that you would, but
No, the most challenging teammate? I don't know about challenging as far as I don't know. That's a tough one.
or maybe I could even ask, who did you not hit it off with right at first, but you eventually became close with? Maybe you butted heads with somebody, maybe not.
JJ Redick.
Really?
Yeah, because we had played in the playoffs a couple years in a row against each other. We played the same position when he came to LA. You know, I remember the first day of conditioning, he wanted us to do extra running. And I'm like, you just got here. What are we doing extra running for? You know, like, we did the running. No, we're competing for a championship. That's what we're doing. So everybody hated him. But then once we start talking to him, we're like, oh, JJ is the best. But we had to see that was just him. He wasn't putting on the front like I thought he was at first. Like, it's just him. So, yeah, JJ was challenging. But one of the good things about being with the Clippers was our relationship and what came out of that. So, for sure.
Who had the biggest impact on your life?
Teammate? It would have to be a veteran player when I was young. That's tough. But I don't want to give any one person credit because a lot of veterans played a huge role in Doug Christie. He wasn't my teammate, but
There we go.
yeah, he was probably the pro at the time that had the biggest impact on my life, for sure.
Shout out to Doug Christie, man.
Always.
Huge
We hold
shout
him
out.
in the highest of high regards.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Of course. Maybe we'll do another one this summer.
It's up to you, man.
I'm with
Always.
it. Just come with the question. Let's do it.
All right.
Part
Anything
2
you wanna
coming
end on?
soon. Part 2 coming soon. By the
Jamal
end of the summer,
Crawford.
we'll do another one.
Awesome.
All right?
It's been a long time coming. I can't say thank you enough. The way you talk about Michael Jordan, as weird as it is to say to you, it's how I think about you, because I was in that crowd for a lot of years before I ever started doing this. So
That's wild.
it's
That is wild.
the love will never leave, and I can say it a million times. Just thank you very much.
Thank you.
And
I appreciate it. Thank you for being the guy at the Pro-Am.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
The Jeremy Mills Podcast. We'll see you.